Hello there. FaceTime has just done a video on this, so I thought I'd do one as well. Um, this is about effective list writing. So rather than sort of go through the nitty gritty of list writing, I thought I would. I'll do some videos later where I'm going to write a list per faction, but I'm just going to essentially take you through effective list writing and then what I'm doing for my Warriors of Chaos. So why does this matter? Why should you build your list in a vaguely effective manner? Well, the main thing is if you have a sort of a fun balanced list that you just need to tweak between battles, what that means is that you're going to be like much more likely to understand how the thing operates. You're going to remember its rules for starters and not forget stuff. Which, if you're anything like me, which you're probably not, but I find the most frustrating thing just realizing after a battle, oh, if only I'd have remembered to do. So it's about sort of understanding how your list works. There's a bit more consistency, consistency is always good. It's not actually about winning; it's about participating. So yeah, if you want to build like a meme list where you've decided, oh, I'm going to be a wood elf player, but I'm going to like do like some kind of weird wood elf tree kin like Drycher style thing, then yeah, do that. I mean, if that's what you want to do, I mean, it's not going to be it's only going to be very effective though if you come up against people who that list is kind of like obviously going to beat. And ultimately, you do want to win battles, so it's partially about that. It's partially about winning, but it's being like the most fun games I've had is where it's really close. So you want to put yourself in contention for winning anybody you come up against, and yeah, sure, sometimes you'll come up against a list that is perfectly designed, not with you in mind, but designed to stop you from winning. Like just like I, for instance, I remember one of the first tournaments I went to in AOS with my old Slaves to Darkness. This is before they had a battle, before they had a book, and I came up against this Caradron player, and there was like literally no way I could have won it. Like absolutely, I couldn't even get close to him. Like he just deployed at the back and just kept shooting stuff as it advanced, and just took me out piecemeal. Really, even though I tried to advance as a whole, he just took the fast bits off first because target management and blocking line of sight is impossible in AOS. So it's not in fantasy though. So you can do things to protect units nowadays, and it's about giving yourself tools. Giving yourself a tool to deal with whatever threat. So, if they've got one big unkillable monster, you need a brick of infantry that you can chuck into it, or just at least to tar pit it and get in its way, so you can get in its flank and maybe break it from combat and stop it from charging the next turn, and. So that maybe you need to throw a lot of dice at it to maybe start chipping away wounds. You need to have the tools to be able to eliminate your foe. So to me, good list writing is about thinking along the lines of, well, I want to turn up to this battle, I want it to be fun for me, I want it to be fun for my opponent. And if I turn up with something that's weird and we don't know how it works, then either it's going to be terrible and they're just going to steamroller me, and that's not really good for either player, or I'm just going to steamroller them because whatever I've built is perfectly adapted to destroy everything that they've got. And neither of those scenarios are particularly, fun, because you want games to be close, really. But so having a balanced list ensures or goes closer to having fun in my estimation. It's got to be, you get that adrenaline rush from like key, really important dice rolls. So battlefield jobs, a bit like a rugby team, there's jobs for everyone. So to those of you who don't know how rugby works, essentially you have a variety of players on a rugby team called forwards, who are big, chunky boys like me, and then you have a variety of fancy boys at the back who are, the backs. And the backs have the job of like having intricate, delicate passing play, and the forwards have the job of smashing face. And then you have like a scrum half and a fly half who occupy different like sort of the wizards of the team. So there's a job for everybody really. So you need chaff screens, which is to screen your troops and also to redirect charges. You need your counterpunch units. So these are units that you need to keep protected. They're not the unit that's going to get the first charge off, but they're the sort of unit that you can, once your opponent sort of smashed into your unit, you can hit them back and hit them back hard. But it doesn't necessarily matter if they die overall. You need blocks of infantry to soak up those cavalry charges. You need a lone ranger unit that has the ability to just go around the battlefield and take out artillery and stuff like that. And you may. I mean, I play Chaos Warriors, so I don't have either of these really. But artillery, i.e., is the name that in medieval warfare was given to like bows and crossbows and stuff. So, you probably a balanced list has a bit of all of that. Chaos is automatically unbalanced because there's no artillery. Anyway, here's an example layout, and this is more or less how you'll see my 2K chaos list function. You've got apologies. You've got sorry, man flu. So you've got a couple of warhounds which protect the flank, so that stops essentially their cavalry getting round, because if their cavalry charge into this warhound unit, they then have to line up to them, and then they're going to overrun this way, so that these knights can counterpunch into them. You've got a couple of big blocks of warriors. Again, the warhounds are positioned such that if somebody comes into this angle, then they have to overrun into this big block, which will be my Nurgle block. And if they hit them in this angle, then they have to overrun into the front arc of this big block. There's a Lord on a Manticore there that gets most of it within its aura, within its leadership aura. And then this is the Tzeentch block with decent line of sight for the Sorcerer Lord, which will probably be there or maybe there. And sorry, that's my wife who's currently lost a book probably. And there's another unit of warhounds here, again protecting this flank. So these knights, these core knights, are like the counterpunch unit. These are chosen knights, which their job really is if somebody gets a bit fortunate and somehow manages to flank these warriors, then they can kind of wheel in and smash them and start to punch back through. These are like, Napoleon had this concept of what he called the old guard. So essentially everybody else to do all the fighting, and you keep your best troops for the end of the battle, and they then just steamroll or whatever the hell's left. That he called the old guard, and it was obviously a very effective tactic because he managed to take over the majority of Europe with it. So that's what I'm probably going to do with my Chaos Knights, with my chosen knights, is just kind of sit them at the back, and then they'll just smash through like smaller units after they've, because after a unit is battled through like 15 warriors of Nurgle, they're going to be pretty bloodied and pretty bruised, and after they battle through a big block of Tzeentch Chaos Warriors, they're also going to be pretty bloodied. And then the Manticore Lord here, because he's a large target, he can see pretty much everything. So that angle might change, so he might be sort of facing this way in future. But essentially, if something ends up here, And actually, rather than take it out with the warriors, I'd rather the warriors go over there to deal with something else, and the Manticore Lord can essentially charge in there, and then these warriors can join forces and go towards this direction. So it gives me a kind of a strong right flank, strong left flank, and then something to punch back through the middle when the battle is nearing its conclusion. And that's kind of my strategy really for my chaos list. So I think the other thing to keep in mind, and this is why I'm showing you this, is keeping everything at a weird angle always helps. But you just got to make sure that you've measured it properly. So that if you imagine there's like a unit here, if it overruns and it gets but it's going to have to get a really big overrun to get into these warriors, right? What will probably happen is it'll overrun to here. So that actually these warriors can go off there and deal with something else. These warriors can go off there and deal with something else, and the chosen knights can go and block them. So essentially these warriors screen everything, march around stuff or move around stuff or charge other targets or whatever, and then whatever ends up in the middle, the chosen knights just eliminate, which they will, because, you know, they're chosen knights. They're pretty nasty. You know, and if they might, so if that's like, you know, Russ Veal's, I say Russ Veal's, I mean, I wrote it and published it on a video the other day. I think I kind of beat him by one. But if it's that Chaos Lord on a Chaos Dragon, that's 5s to hit, you reroll 6s, it's horrible. If it's that, then I can just effectively ignore it. And that's what I'll probably do. He's given his a lance. I mean, if Russ ever bothers to watch this, I'd give it a great weapon, because with the always strikes last first aura thing, your great weapon's probably a better choice, because you get to do that every turn than just a lance, which is only on a charge. So great weapon, I think, gives you a bit more, is a bit better for like a protracted combat, and with that kind of monster, you're likely to be in a protracted combat. So yeah, anyway, this has been a very short video for me. Normally they last about an hour. I'm planning to try and keep videos as short as possible in future and just cover some key concepts. So yeah, I hope this has been useful. Like, share, subscribe, all the rest. I've done a little bit of work on like graphic design and stuff. This is all AI art. Love AI. It's brilliant. I wouldn't be possible. I couldn't do this. But anyway, yeah, that's that. Hope it's been useful. Ciao, ciao.